Moscow. Let's leave from the south. I'm the one they call Sam. But in a clever sort of way, this music could be working, waiting, and learning, and planning. Hey, I can hear this sick and raise the dead.
Welcome back to Animal Songs, a story set to music, written and performed by Jamie Holcomb. A loser tries to control others. A winner takes care of himself. There have been other philosophies in other times and other places. There are as many attitudes and approaches to life as there are faces of nature. What does compassion mean? What is the definition of strength? A word has meaning in context. What is the value of a life? How much are you worth? And how do you define yourself? The body, the soul? Are you the position you hold in society, or are you the person behind that costume? Who exactly is it hiding behind that garish facade? The depths are ruled by the one. Interpretation. Whale. Once upon a time, in a magic kingdom far away from here, there lived a noble and valiant knight. Was he a brave knight? The bravest. And did he rescue a princess? Yes, baby, I believe he did. From a dragon? Let's see. This knight was in love with the daughter of the king, but her father was a cruel and merciless tyrant. What does that mean? He was a dragon. And she's a dragon princess? Yes, baby. The dragon locked his daughter in a high tower where no one could reach her. When the knight came to the palace searching for his lady love, the dragon king told him that she had died in her sleep. He lied. He lied, but the knight thought it was the truth. He rode into the woods, not knowing or caring where he went. He rode until he happened upon a small stream, and beside the water there grew a yellow-white flower. It was the same color as his lost princess's hair, and when he saw it, the flower called to him. He halted his horse and knelt down beside the stream, and kneeling there he looked into the flower, and he cried. He cried so sweetly and sadly that all the animals of the forest fell silent. The squirrels and foxes gathered around him. The pheasants and blackbirds and sparrows and robins and jays all bowed their heads in the trees above him. Even the wind stopped whistling. The only sound was the sobbing night and the trickle of the stream's tears. While the woods mourned for the grieving knight and his lost princess, there came upon the scene an old hermit who lived in the wilderness. A witch? I think it's a wizard. And the hermit asked the sobbing knight what was his trouble, and the knight told his story. Now this hermit knew what had really happened to the princess, because he had been out collecting mushrooms near the tower on the day that the king had imprisoned her. So he said to the knight, I believe that I have some magic spells that can help you. I have learned many secrets about the mystery of life, living here in these woods. I think I know a spell that might be able to bring your love back to life. The knight was overjoyed. He said, If you help me, I will be forever in your debt. Well, said the hermit, this is not an easy spell. It requires something of you. Anything, said the knight. And the hermit explained that the spell to reverse death was so mighty that it would require something precious from the knight. The ingredient I need to reverse death is your heart. The knight was so brave and his heart was so full of sadness that he didn't even hesitate. Anything, he said, for my princess. But, baby, he needs it. What do you think will happen? Maybe it's a trick. It's a trick that he gives him the flower instead and says it's his heart. But then the princess is breathing fire and she sets the whole place on fire. And she's like, whoa, I gotta get out of here. And she remembers she's a dragon and she flies right out the window. And he's down there and he sees her. He yells, Princess, it's me. But she doesn't even hear him. She's too busy being a dragon. She flies forever. What about the knight? He's with the wizard. He says, hey. Then he starts crying again, and the wizard just pats him on the back. They watch her go. They just watch her go. Yeah, she had a million adventures, and then, poof, she wakes up. She was always in the tower. She never even left, and she sits in the window watching the clouds, and far away she can hear him. He's still crying. I think you're right. That's exactly what she's doing. Should I keep reading? The knight agreed. The hermit pulled from his cloak a magic bottle and said, Press this to your chest, and I will take care of everything. The bottle was the color of blood, for it was forged from enchanted glass. When the knight pressed the magic bottle to his chest, it glowed. Instantly, the hermit snatched up the bottle and sealed it with an enormous black cork. Inside, still beating, there floated the knight's heart. Now, said the hermit, march. And the knight obeyed. "I will deliver him to the king," said the hermit, laughing, "and be handsomely rewarded." "It was a witch." "I think so." The hermit led the knight to the palace, where he displayed his power over the man. "I will gladly sell you the man's heart, as well as a supply of these bottles, for the right price," said the hermit to the king. "He should just steal it." The king considered that, but the hermit's power over the knight was horrible to behold, and the king was very intrigued by such power. "Name your price," said the dragon king. "I wish to marry your daughter," said the hermit, and despite all his efforts to keep her to himself, watching the knight obey his every order, the king agreed to the hermit's price. Meanwhile, the animals of the forest were much dismayed over what they had witnessed. The old hermit had caused them such trouble over the years. The newts cried for their tails he had chopped, and their eyes he plucked to make his potions. The robins and jays wept for their stolen eggs. The badgers, foxes, weasels, and squirrels had all watched the old hermit roast their friends and family. Now he had stolen the heart of the brave and noble knight. But what were the animals to do? They were only humble forest creatures. After a long debate, the little stream which had cried for the knight, in her trickle she whispered, "Flower." The yellow-white flower that had captured the knight's heart still blossomed beside the brook. Perhaps it could help to free him from the hermit's magic. But who would deliver the flower to him? Many animals volunteered. The badger could dig under the castle, but the flower might get damaged in the dirty tunnel. The fox could easily sneak in, but nobody trusted the fox to do anything. A mouse or squirrel might be small enough to find its way into the palace, but they would be too small to carry the flower without dragging it on the ground and losing its petals. A bird! The animals agreed that a bird would be best, but who? While the robins and crows and jays and sparrows twittered, each proclaiming their various virtues, the sun was setting. In the hollow of a willow tree bending over the babbling brook, a pair of yellow eyes appeared. With his striated feathers, he looked like a piece of bark come to life as he stepped out of the hollow. All the while, the great horned owl had been listening. "Only I am strong enough and fast enough, clever enough and tricky enough," said the owl. Without another word, he swooped down and plucked the yellow-white flower. Holding the stem in his beak, he flew into the night. Let us join the owl in his dark ascent. The sky is cloudless, save for perhaps a few star-shrouding wisps. He, our hero, is silver in his cloak, his coloring by birthright. He was born to reflect her subtle glow. For that sacred figure he flies. By her torchlight he sees. She is his brookside flower that once in the mist beyond memory that nimble ancestor glimpsed. He spreads his wings to embrace her. Into the night, towards that body of light, for her the owl ascends. The wind, blown by his own furious flight, washes over him like a river. He tilts the blossom in his beak, petals positioned against the thick mane of feathers around his collar. He points the flower towards his own heart. It is widely held that owls are wise. From their dark nobility, some understanding can be read. Out of the primordial dream, the owl knew. What? As he approached the castle ramparts, the owl discovered a light in a far-off tower. He knew to fly to the window. Perching on the sill, he poked his head inside. Lying face down on her bed was the princess. Lady Argentina Viviana, in her snow-white dressing gown, lay across her snow-white sheets. Her long golden tresses hung over her shoulders and down her back like a cloak. Softly she sobbed into her pillow. The owl listened to the subtle night wind, the distant carving of the crickets, and the crying princess longing for her knight. A mysterious spell was cast. For all his machinations, that magic which the hermit professed to control was not a power which anyone can possess. He had deciphered the motions of the forest, and from this knowledge he had contrived many unnatural devices. Yet for all his understanding, that magic was not his. It lived. The magic was larger than any puny parcel a hermit could string together. It breathed. There upon the window-sill, driven by an unimaginable will, directed by an unattainable compass, the owl sat and listened to the song of something lost. And the beauty imbued the totem in his beak. That small flower soaked up the sadness of the princess, the loneliness of the night, the wishing of the crickets, and the yellow-white petals glowed with silver light. Altogether, the happy family continued to read the fantasy. Together, they gasped as the owl smashed through the great glass window above the king's throne. They winced as the flower fell, and finally they cheered when the petals touched the knight's breast. But let us leave them to their love. Let Crystal turn the page. Let the master librarian of a very new institution in Puro Bay, the Mytho-Historical Preservation Society, let him listen to this ancient song lying beside his daughter, winking at the corner where the gold shimmering cane of ferrous latinate ligninity peeks from behind its umbrella cloak. Let's fly out over the land of Puro. The green grass plains rumble with hills, and dressed in the garment of midnight, this land becomes an ocean, a dark expanse rolling beyond sight. Out here the waters are alive with secret swimmers. Curb your natural instincts, or swoop down as you may please, should the infinitely high-pitched squeak of something delicious ring out to your great horned ears. See the light, a distant cottage, a farmhouse, thatch-roofed, erected from wood and straw, like something that grew from the earth, like a mound of harvested hay sitting in this broad field, like perhaps an island or a lighthouse adrift on this midnight sea. Perch in this window, as you may find yourself so doing more often these days, and listen to this new melody, the laughter of an animal. An impossible noise resonates from within, an oinking, odious squeal laced with a too human innocence, his hat brim pulled low, for style, not fear. Our old friend beats his bat fins as he raises a thick mug. "Thank you," he says, and you can hardly recognize his companion for the absence of rags, a hardy farm boy, or is he the farmer? Dressed in the appropriate Puro tunic and breeches, his son sits on his lap. In the dark corner a pair of amber jewels shine, cat-like eyes. From the shadows comes the sound of furious scribbles, underscoring the conversation. "So now what?" Now, the Chimera stands. He strides to the door. On the adjacent coat rack there hangs a long cloak. At first glance it appears to be black, but as the Chimera lifts it closer to the light of the overhanging lamp, the cloak sparkles. Red, blue, green, yellow. Every imaginable shade is shining in the darkness. "Now," says the Chimera, "whatever. Fly. Feel the brisk night air flow through your feathers. Breathe its darkness. Blink your fat soft eyes and feel their lunar shape, waxing full as your eyelids unveil the world before you. Spread your wings and push against the gale. You can feel it in your chest. It's true. Over the plains, back, through snowy peaks, sailing between those crooked teeth. Breathe deeply of the ice-flecked air. Feel its bite, and fly now, sweeping into the sultry shadows of bowing cypress trees towards her voice. She calls, the ancient song. Hear it in your breath. Emerge from the darkness and cast off your noble darkness. Your wings sharpen, you elongate, nose and all. Adventure and ferocity echo in your harsh cry as you sail over the rolling waves. She sings, and you are with her. Fly. Far below, the sunken forms of everything forgotten. Beneath the waves they listen. Beneath the wind you fly. Beneath. How you define, how you feel towards them has moved, in rhythm with the beating of the song. Breathe. Listen. It's true. The waves are physical. You can feel it in your chest. As you fly over the dark waters, bidden by the directive of that unseen compass, you begin to imagine what might lurk below those black waves. Perhaps a blast of foam suggests something enormous gasping for its own life-sustaining air before it returns in its low, slow rhythm, enormous heart booming a rich fundamental. The root, the largest note, contains these many melodies. He must still be, you wonder, he must still be down there, swimming. Drip, drip, drip. On the other side is Florence. On the other side is her play, your song. She has gifted you the rocking chair, her chartreuse accessory, covered with the squiggle-patterned Mexican blankets, red, purple, gray, a fabric she loves, a pattern that reminds you both of your respective grandmothers beneath you. And when you rock, you can feel the air suddenly wash over you, like a whisper. You really did go to India, just as you dreamed it. Still, the black night lurks within you. Only now you are just discovering. Only now as you fly, content with the rolling waves, a sharp noise cuts through everything. In your heart he is imprisoned, the king's servant, forever. You and your enemy are joined. You are only just now understanding. A mistake, a choice, an event opened a portal. Fly to the west to make your home in the forgotten newborn ancient discovered woods. Meanwhile, in a grove of poplar trees, surrounded by rich red flowers, there stood a strange structure. To call it a house would not capture the globular nature of its construction. The word building would imply a sturdiness that would be inaccurate. Yet to say the thing was like a mound of ooze or a dollop of honey would be too extreme. The thing erected in the grove of poplar trees had all of these qualities, yet it was transcendent of any description. It ran between words as a putty will through fingers. It was almost as if, when someone beheld it, the thing became solid in that mind's grasp, and the viewer might feel that the instant that they would look away, the thing would drip all over the ground and vanish as it soaked into the earth. Nevertheless, the thing had a door, a round oaken entrance, so it revealed its purpose. Before this entrance, posed as guardians, there stood two figures. Like the house, these creatures were between states. They were not animals, they were not men. To the left, the right of the house, there stood a great pot-bellied something. That he was male was undeniable. He was covered in thick gray fur, and a bushy tail curled from his backside around his feet. He was banded with black stripes. In his hands he wielded a familiar object. On the other side of it, opposite the male creature, there huddled an animal with a too human face. Craftiness shone in her features, as did a femininity that resonated in her slinking form. Was she furred or robed in orange fur? Her paws emerged from silken sleeves. Was she animal posed upon the ground, or plant emerging from below it? Her coat was trimmed with twisting tendrils that embraced the stems and stalks of the flowers and grass around her. "Shall we wait?" said the male on the left, the right of the house. She turned, a long, lazy motion, as if her whole body were issuing a sigh, and her answer was written in the upward-leaning glance of her moon-yellow eyes and the playful curl of her snout. "We'll wait," said the male. He twisted the familiar object in his sturdy paws. In this moment, the object seemed to be a number of things. That it was cylindrical could not be denied. Most likely it was a tree branch, although it was so cleanly shaven, so luminously white that it might have been sculpted from porcelain or carved from an elephant tusk. Yet the top of the staff, yes, that would be an appropriate term. There, many broken arms twisted together to become an amorphous image. So many faces appeared in the gnarled head of the ash plant. "We'll just have to wait," said the male to no one in particular. He twirled the staff. As if the staff had summoned it, a wind howled through the forest. Long dead leaves were brought to life, the brittle red bodies spinning into a cloud. The male leveled his staff at the form. The dead leaves dissipated, flying in their own directions. "We've been waiting," said the male. Out of the air, perhaps born from the womb of the leaves, a man had appeared. He was tall, and he seemed all the taller for the long purple robe that draped his body and implied the solidity and height of a tree trunk. He had a short brown beard jutting from his jaw, and when he raised his right hand to stroke this point, he revealed a terrible wound, a scar in place of his last 3 fingers. Venomous green veins webbed from the wound along the length of his hand to disappear into his interior. The tall man stroked his beard and arched an eyebrow at the male creature. "How did you come by that?" The man released his beard and leveled his long pointer finger at the staff. "We've been waiting," said the male creature. "I had to do something." "Found it, then. The forest is full of trees, and we've been waiting such a long time." The wizard turned now to consider the female creature huddled on the other side. He said, "Is that true?" She replied with a sly wink. The wizard knew to wink back. He tugged at the point of his beard and considered the mound of waxy substance. "And where did this come from?" The male creature shrugged. "It grew naturally," he said. "Yes," the wizard nodded, "like a bird's song, and I suspect the same goes for you two." "Well," said the male, "we've been waiting such a long time." "Long," sighed the female in a whisper so subtle that the perceived word may have simply been an exhalation. "Well, somehow I know to do this," said the wizard. He proceeded to open the round oak door. Inside, everything was as he remembered from his preceding visits. Glittering whiteness abounded. The secret animal theme emerged from the honeycomb bookshelf along the wall, the taloned feet of the coffee table clutching their orbs, and when the wizard paced farther inside and poked his head into the kitchen, he saw the dancing mice and the white tile backsplash behind the ever-dripping beak of the ibis faucet. "Mine," he turned over his shoulder to the creatures bending around the doorframe. "Seems to be," said the male. He looked down to his companion. "Are we finished then?" Without a word, she spun to vanish outside into the forest. "I believe that's for me," said the wizard. He extended his single finger towards the staff in the creature's paws. "This?" said the male. "Say, what is this anyway?" "Why, said the wizard. "That's my trusty army green backpack containing my many texts and notes, and of course the candle and matches by which I see them." The male creature shifted uncomfortably as he scrutinized the stick. Okay, he had to let the man have it. As soon as the staff left his grip, the male creature, too, was gone. The wizard shut the door behind him. He turned to take stock of the apartment. "Well," he said aloud, "there's no sense in asking about anything else. It all has the same answer." Without further ado, he extended his left arm, and reaching his crippled right hand into the wide drooping sleeve, he proceeded to withdraw something screaming. A tiny figure, all black and armored like an insect, struggled against the wizard's pincer. It wailed one strident scream, over and over, the same pathetically furious note. The wizard cupped his left hand around his ear, and he raised the writhing monster next to this portal. "What's that?" said the wizard. He laughed maniacally. "I'm only kidding. I know the answer." Immediately he shot out his arm so that from the sleeve, or maybe from the ear, there ejected a spray of silver. A panoply of bright coins clattered across the ivory floor. "Come on," said the wizard to the thing. "Let's get you cleaned up." While the wizard bent to collect the coins in his suddenly manifested yellow bucket, the thing writhing in his pincer cried, "Wah!" "Almost," said the wizard, and he had a good laugh as he shoved the insect into his bath of dimes. This has been Animal Songs, written and performed by Jamie Holcomb, produced by Supermoon. Find us on TikTok, YouTube, or at our website, gosupermoon.com. That's GOSUPERMOON.com. You can also find our work alongside many other talented artists at looksees.com. That's LOOK-SEES.com. This concludes Animal Songs, but there is still one more layer of the compass to explore. Violet's story will continue. Legend says there were 7 sons. What in the world could that mean? Until next time, thank you for listening.
All I got to say is, glory be. The funk's on me. Do it,